Good evening. My name is PJ Capozzi, Superintendent of Schools for Meridian 223. I'd like to recap our Policy and Finance Committee meetings for tonight, January 21st. Policy Committee dealt with three separate policies tonight. One dealt with providing online copyright for any material which we may create. Since that is not a function currently that our district is doing, we decided that we would not need to take action. The other two items are things that are going to result in subsequent action. First, we reviewed a list of the state mandated trainings that teachers are to be provided. Realized that we fell short on some of those issues, and the board gave me a directive to get a system in place where all mandated trainings were delivered to teachers by fiscal year 17. The last issue Policy Committee dealt with is that some boilerplate language was identified that was passed months and years ago regarding what type of committees the board held. We are going to work with our attorneys to make sure that adequately reflects what we currently do. Policy Committee was brief, about 20 minutes in nature, with good discussion, providing all the recommendations, which I just shared with you, and there will be an update at next week's board meeting stating as such. The Finance Committee meeting was not short. It was about a 2.5-hour meeting, the majority of which was led by Bob Lewis, a senior advisor for PMA, walking us through different bonding scenarios that we could choose from in terms of how we are going to secure the monies needed to perform our health, life, safety work, which we passed the amendments for at the December board meeting. There were many ins and outs of the presentation, and a brief summary such as this simply would not do it justice. What I would suggest everyone do is look at the board book packet. There's a detailed PowerPoint presentation that went over and in detail described all of the situations that are at hand. The reason that it's complicated and I don't feel like I could do justice in terms of explaining what occurred is that there's about 4 different things happening concurrently. One is that we have an application in that would provide us some interest or free or low interest bonds. And before we do anything else, we need to wait on the results from that. Outside of that, we have to figure how we want to structure the bonds. So we have 2 options. One is the more fiscally responsible way where we absolutely attack the bonds, raise the tax rate, and pay as little interest as possible. The second is trying to maintain the current tax rate and pay them off in time that way. Obviously, both have their pros and cons. As the board committee met today, there was not a unanimous decision or recommendation to bring forward, but currently they're leaning forward toward trying to keep the tax rate constant as we promised during the referendum and that we think would benefit the majority of our community and deal with the additional interest that we pay over time. Additionally, we have to worry about Senate Bill 318, which I don't expect you guys to know much or care about at this point, as it doesn't have much momentum to carry through the state legislature. But if it does, it would result in the property tax freeze and throw in a whole bunch of different regulations, intended and unintended consequences from it that we had to consider. That concluded Mr. Lewis's presentation about an hour and 45. The remaining time we discussed the pending performance contract in our relationship with the vendor. And making sure that we've done everything statutorily and legally that we need to make sure that we enter into a sound agreement. In order to ensure that I'm protecting the district and the board is protecting the district, we are going to be reviewing everything that we've done so far with not only with our attorneys, but also with a couple other attorney firms, just to make sure that everything's in place before we move forward, since this is such a big decision for our district. Thank you for your time, and as always, feel free to contact me for any additional information, and please continue to check out Board Book for detailed documents that talk about everything that I discussed with you tonight. Thank you.